Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Bhajananandana. Yashodanandana Bhajananandana. Yamunatira Manachari. Yamunatira Manachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Thank you, Dravida Prabhu.
Sure.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pravikacharya Ashtar Shart Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pravikacharya Ashtar Shart Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Hardas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Anatakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Urdirayat Nasta presa badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Text 19, Chapter 3. Yam Dharma Kamarta Vimukti Kama Bhajanta Ishtam Gatim Apnuvanti Kim Chashisho Rati Api Deham Avyayam Karotu Me Adabra Dayo Vimokshanam Yam Dharma Kamarta Vimukti Kama Bhajante Ishtam Gatim Apnuvanti Kim Chashishorat Yapi Deham Avyayam Karotu Me Dabradayo Vimokshanam Yam Dharma Kamarta Vimukti Kama Bhajanta Ishtam Gatim Apnuvanti Kim Chashisho Ratyapi Deham Avyayam Karotu Me Dabradayo Vimokshanam Yam Dharma Kamarta Vimukti Kama Bhajanta Ishtam Gatim Apnuvati Kim Chashisho Ratyapi Deham Avyayam Karotu Me Dabradayo Vimokshanam Anyone else who would like to chant? Vijay Krishna Prabhu, would you like to chant?
In Zoom?
Yes.
Of course, Prabhu. Yam dharma kamarta vimukti kama bhajanta ishtam gatim apnuvanti kim chashishoratyapi teham aviyayam karotu me dabradayo vimokshanam.
Anyone else? Okay. Synonyms. Yam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who? Dharmakam artha vimuktikamaha. Persons who desire the four principles of religion, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation. Bhajantaha, by worshipping. Ishtam, the objective. Gatim, destination. Apnuvanti, can achieve. Kim, what to speak of. Cha, also. Ashishaha, other benedictions. Rati, he bestows. Api, even. Deham, a body. Avyayam, spiritual. Karotu, may he bestow benediction. May unto me. Adabradaya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unlimitedly merciful. Vimokshanam, liberation from the present danger and from the material world. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. After worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, those who are interested in the four principles of religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, obtain from Him what they desire. What then is to be said of other benedictions? Indeed, sometimes the Lord gives a spiritual body to such ambitious worshippers. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unlimitedly merciful, bestow upon me the benediction of liberation from this present danger and from the materialistic way of life. Purport. Some men within this material world are akami, free from material desire. Some are ambitious to get more and more material profit, and some desire fulfillment in religious life, economic development, sense gratification, and finally liberation. Akama sarvakamo va moksha kama udara tihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. It is recommended that whatever one's position, whether one demands no material profit, all material profit, or ultimately liberation, one should offer his obedient devotional service to the Lord, and one will get what he desires. Krishna is so kind. Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. The Lord reciprocates. Whatever even an ordinary living entity wants, Krishna gives. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, and he gives that which is desired by the living entity. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati brahmayam sarvabhutani yantra rudani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Bhagavad Gita 18:61. The Lord gives everyone an opportunity to fulfill his ambitions. Even such a devotee as Dhruva Maharaj wanted the material benediction of a kingdom greater than that of his father. And although he received a spiritual body, he also got the kingdom, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not disappoint anyone who takes shelter of his lotus feet. Therefore, since Gajendra, king of the elephants, has surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead to get free from the present danger and indirectly from the present danger of materialistic life, why should the Supreme Personality of Godhead not fulfill his desires? Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapara Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shah Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Shah. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusita Devi Pranamami Haripri Vancha Kalpatri Vishcha Kripa Asanabhyevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Gajendra, the king of elephants, he was just going about his everyday life, taking his she-elephants to the waters. And then all of a sudden this crocodile got caught of his leg. Now he's in this very dangerous position. And he's offering these wonderful prayers to Krishna. So this material world is simply full of dangers. Padam padam yadvipadam natesham. Not only is there the threefold miseries that cause danger, but our own senses can be the cause of our death. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it explains there are 5 animals. And according to them following their senses, they end up leaving their body. One is the moth, a deer, an elephant, a fish, and a bee. Does anyone know how a moth loses its life, or which senses it follows? Eyes. It's attracted by the effulgence of fire, and it follows this fire, And eventually it enters the fire, and it loses its life in that way. A deer is described that a hunter can play a flute nicely, and then he gathers a herd of deers, and then he captures and kills these deers. So by their sense of hearing, they can lose their life in that way. An elephant, it loses its life by its attraction to touch a female elephant. And the female elephants is described that they're trained to attract a male elephant, and then the male elephant follows it. And then there's a big hole on the ground and it's covered. And then the male elephant, it goes into that pit and then it struggles, and then for some time they capture it. And a fish, a fish is just swimming in the ocean, the water, and then sees a little dangling piece of meat, flesh, maybe from another fish. And then it bites it, and then a hook catches its mouth, and then the fisherman, reels it in. And it loses its life simply by the taste. And a bee, it can't resist the fragrance of a lotus flower. For a human being, a spider is like this big, But Maharaj was saying, a fly, it's just flying, trying to look for food, and then eventually it gets caught in a spider's web. And it doesn't know it can't see this web, And then sees this big, hairy spider with many eyes, approaching. So it's very fearful. So even in the insect world, there's danger. And I was dropping off Maharaj one time, and he was telling me about this, maybe I don't want to say it just yet, but they're called Vishakanya. Does anyone know what they are? Can you get use a mic, please?
Venomous women.
Okay, venomous women. And Chanakya Pandit, he tells of this in his Artha Shastra. And so the Artha Shastra, it mainly deals with the treatise or tactics on statecraft, politics, economic policy, and military strategy. So what is a Vishakanya? It translates in Sanskrit as poison maiden or a poisonous virgin. And it's described that Alexander the Great, there's some speculation that this was the cause of his death. And his minister, Aristotle, he actually warned him before going to India. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhagavatam, describes that the female form of a woman for a man is the personified illusory energy of Krishna. So Alexander the Great, he was conquering so many kings, but he fell for this maiden, they say. So these Vishakanya, they were young women who were trained to be assassins. And often they were used to kill powerful enemies. And this is how they would train them. They were trained from a young age on a diet of poison and antidote, a practice known as mitri datism. And how they were used is that they were used as a secret weapon to kill enemies. And they were trained to be beautiful and seductive so that their enemies would not resist their deadly touch. Sometimes we see people here, and then when they meet a woman, they're nowhere to be found. I'm not saying this is the cause, And how? And how are they dangerous? A Vishakanya were believed to have bodily fluids that were naturally poisonous. So even a kiss from them could be deadly. They may be also administered poison through blood or alcohol. So imagine trying to look for the love of your life, right? Mr. Right, Mrs. Right. And then you find her, and if she's out of your league, and it's too good to be true, be careful, So in the human form of life, there's so many dangers. And here we find Gajendra. He was trying to enjoy with the female elephants in the waters. And then now he's in this very dangerous predicament. So everywhere there's danger. I was taking Ramapati Prabhu to LA on Wednesday. And you may be a good driver, but that doesn't mean that other people are good drivers. We were near Camp Pendleton, and then this car just started swerving to our lane, And he didn't see us, and good thing I was kind of keeping some distance. And he just suddenly cut us, and I had to kind of swerve a little bit over to the side of the road and then got back. And so speaking of car accidents, I was kind of interested. So here are the statistics. Car accidents in San Diego. Fatalities. In 2022, there were 285 fatalities in San Diego County involving car accidents. Injuries. In 2022, there were 17,386 injuries. Car types. In 2022, 4,500 accidents occurred in state highways. 982 involved pedestrians. 761 involved bicyclists. And 1,485 involved motorcyclists. And some of the causes for these accidents can be distracted driving, speeding, alcohol or drug impairment, drowsy driving. That's a very dangerous one. Following too closely or tailgating, aggressive driving, or poor weather conditions. When I was younger, driving to LA was nothing, You just go there and come back, Now that I'm older, it's like, it's an austerity, And, we hear devotees also leaving their body due to this drowsy driving, so we should be careful. Not only car accidents, but you can be walking down the road and someone can give you a bad look. Next thing you know, you're being followed. An interesting note in this material world is that even before coming to this material world, there's danger. Even when the child is in the womb, there's danger. And one of the famous pastimes is Parikshit Maharaj. He was in the comforts of his mother's womb, And the Ashwatthama targeted him with the Brahmastra. And Krishna saved him. And even sometimes there's miscarriages. And ultimately there is abortion. So even before coming out of into the material world, there's always danger. And you don't even have to be awake to be in danger. You can be sleeping, The 5 Pandava, their sons, they were sleeping, and they were killed in their sleep by Ashwatthama. Sometimes people, they have heart attacks during sleep. Sometimes people, they foam at the mouth, and then they die due to their own saliva. So many things. And even within a family household, there's danger. The greatest example is Prahlad Maharaj. His own father tried killing him. Even going down the stairs is dangerous. Ramapati Prabhu, I don't know if you guys were here, but he had a really bad accident going down. And our Bhakta Kaimi from Hawaii, I think it was raining one day, or it was a little slippery, and he fell downstairs here. And Queen Kunti, in the first canto, she was praying to Krishna. She said, "O Rishikesh, Master of the senses and Lord of lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious king Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers." So Srila Prabhupada, he explains that Queen Kunti, the aunt of Krishna, and Devaki was the mother of Krishna, and they were very intimately connected with Krishna, but they themselves had to face dangers. And Srila Prabhupada said, "What to speak of us?" And Srila Prabhupada, he points out that Krishna was more kind to Queen Kunti. He saved the Pandavas, whereas Krishna let all of Devaki's other children die. And Srila Prabhupada explained because Devaki had Vasudeva Maharaj, whereas Queen Kunti, her husband passed away, King Pandu. So Krishna was more kind to Queen Kunti because she had no other shelter. And the conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater dangers. Sometimes he puts his pure devotee in such dangers because in that condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. The more the attachment is there for the Lord, the more success is there for the devotee. And Srila Prabhupada, he would say we should not be disturbed by the dangers of this material world. Sometimes, I think you guys know, when bad things happen, sometimes a devotee, a neophyte devotee, can lose faith, And they start questioning the whole philosophy, right? Why is Krishna so unkind, Why is he allowing this to happen? But Srila Prabhupada, he says if we are actually Krishna conscious, we should face the danger and depend on Krishna. So that's the difference between a neophyte devotee and a pure devotee, or someone who has firm conviction. And so we hear again and again, whatever desires one has, they should approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada says that whether one is practicing karma yoga or jnana yoga, the perfection and the ultimate goal leads to bhakti yoga. Sometimes I kind of question, of course every devotee is trying to serve Krishna and trying to develop Krishna prema. But there's other devotees where maybe they have some tinge of, propensity to enjoy the material world, right? Or sometimes we were reading the 5th canto and Bhakti Tyler was still here. And it was described, we were reading about the heavenly planets, I think Vijay Prabhu was giving class. And in the end, Bhakti Tyler raised his hand, and said, before we go back to Godhead, can we still see the heavenly planets? But like what the purport said, Krishna will fulfill these material desires, So if one wants liberation from material bondage, whether they have no desire or they want to merge into the effulgence of the Lord, Bhakti Yoga is recommended. But Bhakti Yoga, it purifies that desire. And the example of Dhruva Maharaj is given. It says that Srila Jiva Goswami, he explained that desirelessness doesn't mean we have no desire, but this means that one should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of the Supreme Lord. When Krishna is happy, we experience that same happiness. So that's desirelessness, that we actually desire to please Krishna, but it's not a selfish desire. Srila Prabhupada, he writes that the gopis love the Lord without any return, and this is the perfect exhibition of a kama spirit. They had no other desire but to please Krishna. And I forgot, I think it's in the maybe 10th canto, where the gopis were speaking to Krishna. And Krishna was feeling bad because he said, you're doing so much service for me, but I can't repay you. So Krishna said, just be happy with your service. So more service is our reward. And I think it's a really sweet reciprocation, The more we want to please Krishna, Krishna wants to give us more service to experience that. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna is so kind. Yayata ma prapadyante. And as we surrender, Krishna reciprocates with the surrender. And since Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, he gives that which we desire. Ramapati, he stated that famous quote, man proposes and God disposes. It's always up to Krishna. We're dependent on Krishna. And it's interesting because I was looking up that verse, chapter 18, text 61 in Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada writes, after changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds, but the super soul, as a knower of the past, present, and future, remains a witness of all his activities. Similarly, by the order of the super soul, material nature fashions a particular type of body to a particular type of living entity, so that he may work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, one's duty is to surrender. Sometimes people ask that, how can you prove we had a previous life? And Srila Prabhupada is explaining this, that the super soul knows past, present, future, so it gives us a particular type of body to try to enjoy whatever we desire, Srila Prabhupada, he said, if one only thinks of sex life, he'll be worried a rabbit's body or a monkey's body, They're naked and, they're surrounded by female monkeys all the time. And I heard pigeons are also expert at sex life. And also hogs, A hog can give multiple births, So according to our desire, whether it's full of material desires, whether it's liberation, or whether it's pleasing Krishna, everyone should surrender to Krishna. And then that will make the person happy, and Krishna will fulfill that desire, even if it's so foolish and childish, you know. Okay. It's 8:24. I'll end here so we can take some questions or some reflections or anything like that.
I have a question.
I think we have one in-house question first, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, I can wait, no problem.
Go ahead, Bhakti Chad.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the enlivening lecture. Couple questions. The first one, as far as driving and accidents go, what was the percentage due to intoxicants? Did you look that up?
It didn't specify a percentage, but it said sleepy driving is one of the causes of accidents.
One of the most frequent?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the other question is related to yesterday. Have you had anybody come pass by your table or come up to your table with a drink or something intoxicant and drop it? And if not, do you have a good Sankirtan story? Haribol.
Well, whenever I hear of this, I think of His Grace, his Indian body. He's pretty popular. I think he's part of the GBC now. Who? Gauranga, yeah. He explains that he was doing some preaching program, and this person, you know, he was hearing Gauranga Prabhu speak, but at the same time he was holding a bottle of beer, you know. And on the other hand, he had his chanting beads. So in one hand he had his drink, and in the other one his japa bead, you know. He said, "Now I've joined ISKCON," you know. Something like. But no, I haven't personally. People walk past the table all the time with drinks in their hand. Sometimes, like what Dvijamani Prabhu said, sometimes we're offered drugs as a donation. You know, and it's interesting because I was at La Jolla Cove one time, and this Matsuji, she was very intoxicated. And then when I asked for a donation, she said, "Do you drink?" And I was thinking, like, my head was shaved, and I told her I was already a monk. But she, they have no conception of, what is right or wrong, or what is even, what a monk's restriction is, or a devotee. But I told her, "I'm sorry, we don't drink." And then she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." She said it like she felt sorry for me, like I'm losing life, I'm losing out on life. But usually when people have beer or some type of intoxicant with them, they're kind enough to put it on the floor, and then they speak to me. That's what I've found. Yeah. Do you have any other questions? Okay. Yes, Bhakti Matthias.
Thank you for the class, Govardhana Prabhu. When you said like Krishna fulfills all desires, what about like desires that could bring like harm to other people or harm like to just the well-being of the community, society, like that?
Okay. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita explains that karma is very intricate, and sometimes people don't like to hear this, but according to their karma, sometimes another person fulfills that karma. Does that make sense? But are you talking about something more specific?
No, not really.
Okay. Just like leaders, I heard that they suffer 1/6 of the reaction of the people that are dependent on them, So if they're going to war for some stupid reason, and then they suffer. Makuna Charn, do you have something to say?
I was just thinking, for Matthias's question, there was a verse, it was 5 verses ago, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was touching on that. He was saying, the living entity under the clutches of Maya wants to enjoy this material world. But unless Kṛṣṇa, unless Krishna gives him directions and reminds him, he cannot make progress in pursuing his shadowy objective in life. Even if you have a shadowy objective, you can't make progress toward it unless Krishna gives you directions and reminds you how to do it, how to carry it out. The conditioned soul wrongly progresses toward the wrong objective life after life, and he is reminded of that wrong objective by you. Because the conditioned soul wants to forgive, this is elsewhere in the purport then, because the conditioned soul wants to forget you, by your grace you give him opportunities life after life by which he can almost perpetually forget you. Anyway, those are something.
Thank you for that contribution. Yes, Dravida Prabhu.
I mean, ultimately, of course, even if something is given by a demigod, they can only do it because Krishna sanctions it. So in one sense, you know, Krishna's awarding everything. But personally, Krishna, he doesn't. If you pray for something, like if you're going to pray, I may have the strength to kill this person, you know, Krishna's going to feel that. You have to pray to some demigod, you know. The guy was reading recently, near the end of the Krishna book, you have the pastime of Vrakasura. You know, those who read Vrakasura. Why? You know what Vrakasura means? He's the demon who cut himself. That's Vrika. Yeah. So the demons, like, you know, and Ravana was a great devotee of Shiva, you know, and so was Banasura, you know, when he got banished. So Krishna, he has the actual welfare of the person in mind, and he perfectly knows that if they remain attached to this, or if they could fulfill this material desire, just keep them more deeply involved in. So Krishna is not going to fulfill that desire, and oftentimes he, as I recently read also, is near the end of this, that he'll take away your wealth. If he has, yes, there's a famous verse. If I really show my devotees mercy, I'll take all his money away, you know. So no, you know, and then his wife and children will kick him out of the house because, you know, he's useless. So he'll have no other choice but be dependent on me. So that's what Krishna is doing. He's figuring out how, if someone is really approaching him, how he can move them along on the path, and oftentimes it means making it more difficult to enjoy, you know, or seeing the bad result of trying to enjoy sense gratification.
Thank you so much. Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Govardhan Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind. Dandavat Pranams Prabhu. My question is as follows. I would like to know, if I may ask, if you yourself know, or if any member of the Sangha, beginning with Dravida Prabhu, knows, what is the shloka in Bhagavad Gita where we find Lord Krishna chanting to Arjuna about Mahato Bhayat, the most dangerous type of fear? For now, is my question.
Dravida Prabhu has the answer.
That's one of my favorite verses. Anyone who comes to my classes, I quote it every other class. Yeah, it's in chapter 2. I forget the number. What is it? 40. Neha bikamanashosti pratyavaya navidyate swapamabhasya dharmasa trayate mahato bayat. That even a little... That's the verse. But
that is a verse. So,
that's the one you're looking for.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So even a little, there is no loss or diminution in this process. That's the first thing. That if you begin it, even if you bloop, you know, you still have that credit. Whereas if you do anything else, any material thing, you lose everything. So that's the first thing he says. Then he says, su-alpa means not just a little bit, but a very tiny bit. Very small amount of advancement on this path. Now here's the tricky part. Trayate mahato bhayat. And Prabhupada translated as it protects you from the most dangerous type of fear. That's what he typed out. The early chapters were typed personally by Prabhupada. But whenever he quoted this verse, and he often quoted it, you see in his lectures and in books also, he always said it protects one from the gravest danger, which is losing the human form of life. He explains in the purport. And I looked it up, and we have a proposed revision in this. Bayat means, of course, fear. It comes from fear, you see. And Mahata means great. So it sounds like great fear. But in Sanskrit, you have the phenomenon in the words. And in both of the songs we sing every morning, the Samsara prayers, I call them the Samsara prayers, Guru Vashtaka, and the Guru Vandana, you have this phenomenon where the word that is used, what is it? Shri Guru Chadanarati Ese Uttamagati. Right? Shri Guru Chadanarati. The attraction for the lotus feet of the spiritual master is the only means of advancement. Now, Gati means the goal. The word Gati means the goal. But it also means the way to achieve the goal. And in Bayat means fear, great fear, but it also means the result of fear, or that which causes the fear, danger. So in this context, Mahata Bayat means the greatest danger. And therefore, hopefully we're going to be able to fix that up. So I want to say the most fearful danger, because fearful is an adjective that means something that causes fear. So the great danger, So is that what you're looking for, Vijay?
Yes, and you already answered my follow-up question, which is, what is the most dangerous type of fear?
Yeah, what is the most fearful type of danger? I know is to lose the human form of life.
You said that Srila Prabhupada said that the most dangerous type of fear is to lose the human form of life.
The most fearful danger is to lose the human form of life. Yes, I know.
Yes, the most fearful danger is to lose the human form of life.
Yeah,
so I'm fully satisfied with your answer.
Okay.
Thank you for your contribution, Vijay Krishna Prabhu. It's always appreciated.
You're most welcome, Govardhan Prabhu, and thank you for your most beautiful class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tapas Prabhu?
Prabhu, in the purport it says that Krishna fulfills everyone's desire. So every day morning we pray to Tulsi Devi, make us your own maid servant. So why to prolong the agony? Why doesn't Krishna fulfill the desire immediately?
It's described that we can't approach Krishna directly. We need to approach through his devotees. And I've heard many devotees say that this Tulsi song is a very advanced song, Yeah.
When they, because as the movement grew, they became more acquainted in Vrindavan and so forth. And they said, oh, this is too advanced for, because it's like praying for the most intimate thing, the final thing. Come and let me become your maidservant. Not even Radharani, your maidservant. That's a Manjari Baba, Yeah. But Prabhupada gave it to us, Now, on that regard, if I could just add one thing, I'll take about 1 minute. I don't know if you've ever been wondered why we always chant Vishnu Bhakti Paridevi, Satyavatai Namonam. You may visit other temples and they're singing Krishna Bhakti Paridevi, which makes kind of more sense. We're not really looking at it. And recently, a devotee who was here for some time, named Pran Govinda, he's in Alatra for many years now. And he was here, and he actually got married here and had a house. But he wrote a little paper. He researched this, because I think in Alatra they're probably saying Krishna Bhakti. A lot of temples say it. But number one, when the Tulsi was first able to be grown in ISKCON, Prabhupada was very anxious, and Govinda Dasi was able to do it in Hawaii. And Prabhupada was very happy that she was able to do that. He had sent seeds and she was able to cultivate it there. And so Prabhupada, in the letter that he wrote to her, thanking her profusely, he also gave the mantra. Vrindaya Tulsi Devi Priya Kesavasya Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Satchavaya Namo Namaha. And he explained there, which I hadn't read before. I just read the mantra. I said, well, that's good enough for me. And I wrote to Giriraj Swami one time, because I was researching, and I said, did Prabhupada was he ever at a Tulsi Puja in which it was sung and he didn't say anything, or did he even institute that, Krishna Bhakti? And he said no, because Prabhupada wouldn't really attend the Mangalartik in the mornings. Anyway, so with all my research, I said, well, okay, that's from the letter, and that's why we always do it here. But there's a reason for it, that the Tulsi leaf can only be placed, and Prabhupada said this in the letter, on the feet of Krishna. Not even for the Guru or even Radharani. But you can place it in the hand of Radharani to be given to Krishna like that. You can do on the Shilas, because that's an incarnation of Krishna. So he said that, yes, even any other incarnation, I don't know if he mentioned Lord Varaha, like that, and Sringadev deity. I think anyone who's familiar with Mayapur may know. We could have asked Ramapandi, but I'm pretty sure they, but he said there in the letter that it's specially meant for all the Vishnu deities, and that's why it says Vishnu Bhakti, so there's a reason behind it. So that's why we do it. The Prabhupada instituted it that way, and it's because she gives bhakti for any Vishnu deity that you want to worship.
Did that help us? Okay. Thank you for your time and attention. Grant Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So everyone, please.